So today I made just over $21,000 trading gold, and then I withdrew 22,000 because I made around $30,000 for the week. So hopefully you guys can see this. They are still processing the withdrawal, but I just wanted to talk to you guys. I feel like I haven't talked to y'all and really had like a sit down conversation. Like, of course, the last video you watched my story, but today is just like, just a different, like, raw style. Like, actually, let me just pick up the camera because I feel like I haven't really had like this vlog. If you're an OG to the channel, then you know, like, I used to do these vlogs, but I haven't really done one of these in a while. But as you can see in the background, I don't know if y'all can see, but I redid my whole office. So if you want an office tour, comment office in the comment section, and then I will do an office tour. But that's not what today's video is about. So like I said, I made a little over $21,000 trading gold today, and I want to give you guys a breakdown on it. And I also want to talk about the psychology behind it, because a lot of you, if you are inside of the free Telegram community, where I give all of my trades and give all of my trade breakdowns every single week, you've seen that we've been talking about these gold buys literally all week. And then we had, of course, the very first, I think it was on Monday, we called gold shorts to our area of interest, where we were looking for our gold buys, and then we ultimately bought off that area, and that's how I made the 21,000. So the psychology behind it is, like, some of y'all were reaching out and y'all were like, how did you know that it was gonna buy? Or how did you know, like, because I did get stopped out one time this week, and it was just like a small loss. It was only like $4,000, but I did get stopped out, and a lot of you were reaching out like, well, how did you know to continue your bias? So it's important that we understand that we have to follow structure. Like, structure is literally king. So if structure is being maintained, then you have to follow that bias. So if it's in a prices in an uptrend, forming higher highs and higher lows, if that structure did not get broken, then that means that that structure is still going to uphold, and the trend is going to continue in that direction until that structure gets broken, right? So it's super important for you guys to understand that. And once you master structure, literally, like, you can do anything. So like I said, I want to go over that. And then also let me know in the comment section if y'all want me to bring back like the series of me trading and breaking down all of my trades, or do y'all like these kind of calm, more chill vibe videos where I'm pretty much just talking to the camera and then giving you a breakdown on the overall screen? And my bad, I keep switching hands with this camera because low-key is kind of heavy. Like, usually I just set it down. Actually, that's what I'm about to do, set it back down, because let me just squat, because the camera is getting a little heavy. So overall, like I said, $21,000 on a trade today. And then if you follow me on Instagram, actually, let me just pull it up. So here's the Instagram post that I posted today of the screen recording of the overall trade. As you can see, and then I'm going to close them, as you can see. But make sure you follow me on Instagram as well. It's at Mike Dalito. And then also, I got TikTok too, but it's a lot of fake accounts on me on TikTok. So this literally is my only TikTok, at Mike Tulito. So Mike, the number 2, and then Lito. That's the only TikTok that I have. So if you see, because a lot of people been telling me like, well, you follow me, this and that. I only have one TikTok and one Instagram. I wish I was verified on TikTok, but honestly, I don't even know how to get verified on TikTok. But I am verified on Instagram, so you can't like say like, oh, well, somebody else DM me. No, if somebody DMs you ask for money and stuff like that, it's not me, because I'll never ask for your money, right? So also, how do you guys feel about the Trading Camp 2.0 series? We have more things to cover. So we went over risk management, we went over entries. So the entries video was really good. And then we also went over risk management, entries, and then damn, what was the other video? I think it was psychology. I don't even, it's crazy, I don't even remember my own videos. But so if you haven't watched the first Trading Camp series, Trading Camp 1.0, literally 15 days of absolute gems. A lot of y'all have been so shout out to my new subscribers, because a lot of y'all have been tuning into that series. Definitely watch that series and take good notes, because I feel like I gave a lot of gems inside of that overall series. So definitely make sure you go out and watch that. But one thing I want you guys to I can't even stress this enough, is that, like, and I talked about this kind of like in my last video, but really learning more about yourselves and like really working on yourself outside of trading. That's how you're going to get to the next level, because now you're going to have the awareness and you're going to be able to have a clear consciousness on being able to think clearly in the market. Most people, they're not able to think clearly because they have all of these things like spiraling in their mind. And if they're, you know, battling all of these things, then there's no clarity inside in the market. Like, you're literally going to have chaos with chaos. So I want you guys to really work on yourself. And let me show y'all something real quick. So like, this is just something that I do, but I have a journal and I journal in it, you know, like every day. Well, at least I try to every day. I ain't gonna say every day because I'm not perfect, but I at least try to journal in it every single day, because that's how I stay focused and I stay centered on what it is that I want to accomplish. And I also stay in that frequency or that vibration of like, okay, this is what I need to be doing in order to get these goals. And now when you write your goals, like, I don't want you to think that there's like always like material goals. They can be any type of goals, right? So you have to really be in tune with yourself to really understand, like, okay, everything that I do outside of the charts is going to correlate inside of the charts. So even if you aren't eating healthy, like if you aren't eating healthy, if you have a really bad diet, if your room's not clean, or like, you know, like your space, your environment is not like suited well, then it's going to affect you. So I just want y'all to really understand and really, you know, take home of that, because I want y'all to be the best traders. Like, when y'all come to the Chart Runners channel, the Mike Lito channel, I literally want y'all to say that, oh, well, he taught me this and I learned from him and I'm profitable now. Like, that's my main goal of this channel, is to be able to inspire y'all. Remember, I don't know which video I talked about this, but literally my very first video I talked about Lito, what Lito stands for. So Lito stands for learn, implement, and teach others, right? Learn, implement, and teach others. So when you come to this channel, especially if you're brand spanking new, I want you to take everything that I say and apply it. That way you can become the best version of you and also become the best trader of you. So anybody that's on my channel, I want y'all to be able to say that you are consistently profitable, because I know that you right here, you that's watching this, you can do it, bro. You can do it, sis. So with that being said, I feel like I've been yapping long enough. Let's just go ahead and dive into the actual charts, and I'll go over, like I said, how I made $21,000 trading gold today. And then I'll also give you guys some psychology tips and just some tips on the chart that you guys can take and use next week when you're trading. So peace out. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the overall breakdown. Now, as you can see, my charts are a little messy, but that comes with when you are like trading and like you're in an active trade, like you still have like multiple like trend lines and, you know, little dots like structure points, stuff like that, so forth and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear it off just a little bit before I start from the top. So as you can see here on our daily time frame, well, let's really start with the weekly. So the weekly, obviously, we can see is very bullish, right? So the weekly is in a clear bullish uptrend, forming higher highs and higher lows. So we understand that, right? Now, on our daily, last week, we ended Friday with this big bullish candle here. That let us know, like, all right, we are continuing in the trend that we were in. So we had this impulse, this was a correction, we had like a minor continuation, then another correction, and then we started to get like another minor continuation. So this was the end of Friday. So throughout this whole week, to start the week, I was saying, all right, I need to see price pull back just a little bit further before looking for another continuation. Now, dropping down to my H4, this is where I have a little bit more detail to see, like, okay, and I'm gonna turn my charts back on, but I want to identify my structure. So my H4 structure went like such. We had a high, higher low, higher high. And then from there we had a low. Oops. We had a low, lower high, lower low. So this was then in a temporary, downtrend, right? So this was a temporary downtrend. From there, we can see that we broke above this level. So we had a brand new impulse that broke this 4-hour lower high point. So when you think about transitioning from a downtrend to an uptrend, it will always look like this. You have your previous lower high, price breaks above with a brand new impulse, corrects, and then it gives you a continuation. That is a reversal in a downtrend. I'll talk about that in the video, reversals versus continuations inside Trading Camp. I think it's like day 10 or something like that. But overall, we can see we had this impulse and then we had this correction. So this correction was a couple weeks ago. And then last Friday, this is where we ended off. So we had this continuation here, right? Now, like I mentioned at the beginning of the week, I was looking for a pullback, a correction before another continuation. So as we go down to our smaller time frame for our details, just to see, so y'all can see it without all of the markings. But as you can see, I was looking for, like I said, another correction before getting a continuation. Now going back down to our H1, the black dots on my chart is my H1 structure. So my H1 structure went as such, like I had higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? So just like I talked about going from a downtrend to an uptrend, you then can go from an uptrend into a new downtrend once you break the most recent higher low, which was this right here. So break, impulse, correction, continuation, and that is the start of a downtrend. So what happened here? We had this impulse that broke this previous higher low, price corrected, and then gave a continuation to the downside. Now the reason why I'm explaining this is because it leads up to why I was looking for the buys that I overall took, right? So from here we see that we had that shift in the structure. Now mind you, at that time, this was like, this had already happened, right? So before we begin to look for like a shift in this downtrend structure that we were in, we would need to see a break above this previous lower high to solidify that this downtrend structure that we're in is now currently over. So remember, downtrend structure, break above, correct, and then continue to the upside to know that we are going in the uptrend structure. So from here, if I go and fast forward it, we can see that we had this impulse break. Now, as you can see, I took a couple of trades here and here at the beginning of the week, but the main trade, the $21,000 trade, was this one right here. So we had this impulse break of structure that let us know the market wants to go up. So remember, the impulse, and I know y'all been killing me for the font being too small, so let me make sure that this is bigger. So the impulse tells you the overall direction the market wants to go. Boom. So if we understand that the impulse tells us the overall direction that the market wants to go, then when we seen this impulse push that broke this previous lower high, that's the market screaming at us, telling us that we want to go bullish, right? We want to go bullish, but of course, the market moves in 3 phases: impulse, correction, continuation. So with that being said, we needed to have a correction first before we just thought that price was going to, buy up from the area. So I'm gonna remove these trend lines just so it kind of makes it a little bit easier for y'all to see. And then I'll clear this off as well, and then I'll hide it. I'll unhide it after we get done. So we had this impulse breaker structure, like I mentioned, and then we had to have a correction. Now, mind you, I trade fibs and I trade breaks and retest. So before I was looking for this correction, like before I was looking for my continuation after this correction finished, I needed to see a break and retest of some area. So since this was the first area that we broke, this was the area that I could potentially look for a retest on, but you can see that we barely broke above this. So we wouldn't be able to break and retest this area because we barely broke above. Like, this wouldn't be enough correction in order for us to say like, all right, we're gonna get a continuation from this area. So I was expecting a deeper pullback. And where was I expecting a deeper pullback to? Possibly this little level of resistance here, or this previous counter trend line. So hopefully y'all can see it, but I'll make it black just so y'all can see it a little bit better. This counter trend line here, I was expecting a break and possibly a retest. So what did price do? Price came back. So price broke above this area, came back to retest this area. Then that let me draw my fibs. Y'all know that I trade fibs. So my fib will always go from the swing low to the swing high. So from point A, which is the low, to point B, which was the high. So we can see that, and you even see the note, that we had a 78.6 retracement at this counter trend line break and retest. So that was a sign that we were going to continue to go to the overall upside, right? Because we were breaking and retested. So once we started to get some bullish price action signals in that area, that was the market telling us, hey, I want to go up from this particular area, right? So since I want to go up from this particular area, I need to see my bullish price action signals. So let me put that, where is it? Here. This overall long position to show you my entry. And then, so we had this, like I said, break above, retested this trend line, and then we had this bullish price action signal here to let us know that there are buyers stepping inside of the market. Now, of course, this is the 1 hour time frame, so I had to drop down to my entry time frames, which are my M15, to get a overall entry. So after we got this break and retest, this was around 12 o'clock in the night, so 12 o'clock midnight on Thursday. Then we can see that I drew another trend line here to show that, like, on very minor structures, so like M5 structure, this was in a downtrend again. So this is why it's important to be able to understand time frames. So the lower time frames, like M5, was forming lower low, lower high, lower low, well, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So once I saw this retest this trend line, I wanted to be sure that this correction was over. So I wanted to see a transition in structure at this area. So breaking this lower high point to solidify that this downtrend that we were currently in is now over and the market is ready to go back bullish. So I'm waiting for the 3 phases to happen again: impulse, correction, continuation. So as we can see, we had a brand new impulse that broke the previous lower high on M5 structure. We came back to retest here. That was the retest of this trend line here. And then what do we have? We had our bullish price action signal here to let us know that buyers are stepping inside of the market. As you can see, I entered my buy position here. And then my overall targets were this 0%, because y'all know, if y'all watch Trading Camp 1.0, and I talked about fibs, y'all know that my take profit levels are always my 0%, my -27, and my -61.8. Those are always my take profit levels based off of my fibs. So we can see that that was my overall targets for today, right? That was my overall target. So I took this trade around 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning, and then today is Friday. So I had to hold the trade for 24 hours, and I caught 521 pips on this overall move because I closed, like I said, at the 0. And then one thing that I want you guys to understand, because a lot of y'all ask about, like, well, how did you know it was going to continue? So the reason why I knew it was going to continue in this overall uptrend structure was, one, the main trend. Remember, we can't forget the details. And I'm going to delete this. We can't forget the details that on a H4, we had an impulse, we had a correction, so we're expecting a overall continuation. On H1, we had the same thing. On H1, we had an impulse, we had a correction, so we could expect a continuation. So then on my smaller time frames, my entry time frames, what can I expect? What am I seeing on my smaller time frames that tells me that the market wants to go bullish? I am seeing bullish impulses, corrections, and continuations, aka higher highs, higher lows, right? So I'm forming a higher high. So once I entered this trade, I was in a lot of profit. Price came back to correct. Now, even when price came back to correct, I did not exit this trade. Why? Because it did not break this structure here. So since it did not break this structure here, that lets me know that this uptrend is still valid, because the only way this will be invalid is if it breaks a previous higher low point. So as long as this higher low point is being maintained, that is letting me know that my buys are still valid, and that's why my stop loss was beneath these lows, because if it breaks these lows, then that lets me know that my move is invalid. So what do we have after we had an impulse? We had a correction, we had a continuation, we had another correction, and then we got another continuation. Now, at this point here, I woke up in the middle of the night, probably like 12 o'clock, and I saw a price was right here. I was floating like 10K, 11K in profit. And I'm like, all right, I want to see if we're going to respect this previous level of resistance here and potentially get a overall retest to continue to go up. So this is where I was potentially looking for a scale in entry, but I don't think I took it right here. The scale in entry that I did take was somewhere in this little area after we broke above this lower high. But overall, so I had positions down here, and then I had a position right here. So from here, we were still maintaining our overall structure of our higher highs and higher lows. We retested this area. Now, this is where understanding the concepts are super important, because had I missed my entry down here, I could have took another entry here. Because why? This was an impulse breaker structure. Price came back to retest the previous level of resistance that got broken, and then price gave me a bullish price action signal to take advantage of this overall buy here, and then we could look for a continuation. And that's exactly what price did. We came back to retest this previous level, bullish price action signal, and then we got our overall continuation. Now, a lot of you inside of the Telegram chat, y'all were asking, so this is the signals chat. It's crazy. One of my students made $48,000 this week trading gold. These are all of the signals members that took the trade with me. So they made $870. They made like $600. They made don't show. This person made $3,000. They made $438. He made $48,000. So forth and so on. But let's go here. So this is me explaining the move, but mind you, I broke down this whole move inside of the Telegram chat. So like I've been giving video updates on the overall move as it was actually, happening between the weeks. So this was at the beginning of the week. Said the first part of the analysis was hit. This was the start of the week. I think it was Sunday or Monday, saying what I was looking for gold. And then just giving the overall breakdown. So if you're not inside of the free Telegram chat, definitely make sure that you are in it, because I drop video breakdowns literally every single day. Inside of there, going over all of the positions and trades that I take, and then inside of the signals is literally where I call the trades and break down the whole setup, so forth and so on. So you can see this is the trade that I called inside of the signals chat for our members. Right now, with that being said, I forgive you my train of thought, but overall, they was asking, let me pull that back up. They was asking inside of here, like pretty much like, how did I know? Well, they were saying I closed right on time. So he said, bro, you closed those trades on time, because obviously you can see we had this huge drop. A lot of people inside the Telegram chat, they caught this move as well. That's not in the signals, that they just, took the information that I taught them and they caught the move as well. So, let's see. Hell yeah, been taking lower time frames. We need trading cam videos. Yeah, for sure. So overall, the reason why I closed this at this area, because like I said, I was looking for price to come to this zero, because that is my predetermined take profit levels based off of my overall fib structures. Now, mind you, within addition to that 0%, if we go back to H1 and clear this off, this is still a major level of resistance. Like the story here is every time price came here, what did it do? It dropped. Price made its way back to that same area from here. And what did it do? It dropped. So like in this little area, that is like a seller's zone in a sense where like sellers are selling hard from that area. Cause oops. As you can see from here, this sold all the way off. So like you can't just assume that these type of areas are going to break. Especially it being a Friday, it's like I don't think it's going to go and make, you know, brand new highs and hit negative 27 take profit based off of it being a Friday. Now, the beautiful thing about this though is that even though we hit this overall fib structure, and I'm going to clear all of this stuff off again just so it's not all in the way. One thing that we did have, and I can redraw this trend line, is that we have price, and I'll just move it so it's not messy. We have a higher low. We broke above this high, so impulse, correction. If this maintains a higher low, guess where we're going next week, chat? If this does not break this low down here, then we are going to go right back up, because that is the flow of the market. If the market is forming higher highs and higher lows, that is a sign that the market wants to continue to go to the upside. So if you're watching this video over the weekend, definitely be on the lookout for gold buys to continue to push up as long as we maintain that area. And then we also have this trend line that price is currently sitting on as well. So just be on the lookout for that. I definitely can see price bouncing off this area and continuing. But if we break structure to the downside, then we know that price is going to break, give us a retest, and then we could probably sell it down to that overall zone. So just be mindful of that. But I hope this video was actually super helpful for you guys to understand the mindset behind me making $21,000 inside of this move. And just know that it's possible. Like, I want everybody on this channel to know that it's possible, and that's why I do these videos, so that y'all can really learn and really like hone in on a skill set, because I know what it did literally for my life. Like, my life would not be what it is right now if I did not learn how to overall trade. So I just try to make everything as simple as possible for you guys, so that you guys can learn and go and fish on your own. So like, I don't want to teach y'all to be complacent. I want y'all to actually know. And I literally give y'all everything in these videos, because I don't like to hold anything back. I feel like there's no reason to hold back information, because ultimately, like, it's just the way the market moves. Like, market structure is just the way the market moves. And once you understand it, then it's just data. You know what I'm saying? So your job is to execute. As you can see, like, that's why I keep this up here. Execution over everything. Like, no matter the money, like, the same trade that I took that made me $21,000 made somebody else $100,000, made somebody else $500,000, or maybe made somebody $100. Like, whatever the case may be, the trades are always going to be the trades. So your job is to focus on execution and not the money, because the money will then come in return of you executing correctly. But the moment that you let your mental, and the moment that you let your emotions control you and control the decision makings that you have inside of the markets, that's when you will pretty much self-sabotage yourself, and you won't be able to consistently print money. But as y'all can see, I literally take the same setups over and over and over again. Like, all my trades are always breaks and retests, and I stress that every single time that we're on these calls. And if you haven't paid attention to my live Let's Chart Sundays, where I mark up every single week, I literally stress breaks and retests. Like, no retest, no entry. But you have to know structure in order to validate your retest. So enough of that though. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, and then share this channel with a friend. I want to help as many people grow as possible. So definitely share with the trading buddy that you feel like, may need this information, and hit the like and subscribe button. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody. Plug.